Belgium 1 point.
Belgium 1 point.
Dan had a studio, and Mark had the idea of making something really European, different from rock. And the idea was without guitar, and the idea was electronic.
Hello and welcome in this podcast dedicated to the release of the new album of Telex. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Jérôme.
Why coming back after 20 years?
Why not?
We don't really come back. We just stopped making records, but we were still together since. Nuance. That's
Easy
an
answer.
important nuance. Yes, I know.
And what have you been doing for 20 years?
Together, not much.
And all alone? Dan, what have you been doing?
I don't remember. No, it's a joke. Yes. Well, I was most of the time in studio anyway with some other artists, and that's my life.
And you, Mark, what have you been doing?
I've been doing a bit of music, a bit of radio, a bit of writing, plays and articles in newspapers, and that's what I've been doing.
And you, Michel?
Most of the time I take pictures and try to
And
improve.
he never gives them back.
The first thing we heard from you this year is a Depeche Mode remix of a song called A Pain That I'm Used To.
Right.
So can you tell us the story about this remix?
Depeche Mode is an amazing group. I mean, it's one of the few, who's been staying here for such a long time. Pop music is about losing the game, and not about winning all the time. And they win. They always come up with fresh ideas and fresh music and great songs, great production.
And how does it work, a Telex remix? Is it just one man of Telex doing it, or is it just the three of you that are working on it?
Three of us. Yes.
Three of us always. That's what's really magic and great and fun. It's when we are the three of us in studio. The idea come really very quickly, I would say, and very easily, and so we very quickly see what we like, what we don't like, and that's great. It's
So
always fun.
Right. So basically, I have the idea, Michel criticize, and then works.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's how it works in Telex.
There's a hole in your soul like an animal with no conscience, repentance, and love. Close your eyes, pay the price for your paradise. Devil's feet on the seeds of the soul. All this running around, well, it's getting me down. Just give me a pain that I'm used to. I don't need to believe all the dreams you can see. You just need to achieve something that rings true.
And the idea behind the Depeche Mode remix was your idea, so it was your idea
To sound
My idea was to make it sound like Telex.
like Telex.
Okay, just
Which
exactly
is generally
like
the
Telex.
And
purpose
just the-
people have when they ask you to make a remix.
And what is it sounding like Telex?
It's very simple.
Been trying to get rid of the rock influence of the guitars, basically, because we hate guitars. That's our problem.
You're the only band that made like if rock and roll never did existed.
Yeah, that's what we suppose.
No, it's just a reaction. They were there before.
Too much guitar. Someone has to do something, There's too much guitar in pop music. So we decided that we would be the Chevalier Blanc who trying to fight
Against the guitar.
against the guitars.
So who wants to tell the Telex story in a few words?
Dan had a studio, and Mark had the idea of making something really European, different from rock. And the idea was without guitar, and the idea was electronic music, not to sound like anyone in the United States. One day we met in Dan's studio and started with Trista Saint-Tropez, without knowing what would be the result, trying to find a vocabulary. And maybe.
And I took the guitar and I destroyed it against the wall.
But it came fast. The vocabulary came fast.
Yes. I think we made a whole album in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So that was even cheaper.
Ça fait partie de l'ambiance.
But why do you think at that time that vocabulary came fast as that? Because it was not so popular.
Because of the limits of the instruments at the time. The limits were very helpful in terms of aesthetics. You know, it's when you use those synthesizers, you necessarily came up with very basic sounds and very easy. So it was near the idea of rock and roll basics.
And everything is talking about Telex for his influence on the electronic music boom in the late 80s, early 90s. How do you cope with that? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's false? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's not enough?
We had to be one of those, among others, who were influential because the use of the synthesizer and the sounds that we came up and that Dan came up with very competently.
And now the electronic music scene had its boom at the early 90s, and now it's coming to run into circles, and there is not many things that are so new. What do you think? Do you listen, to electronic music, or don't you listen to electronic music?
We do, but don't ask any names.
So you don't?
No, I do.
Well, actually, I love some groups. I love the Chemical Brothers and groups like that. But it's normal that people don't know, that we don't know, that most people don't know about who's doing the electronic music. Because the electronic music comes in discotheques where nobody says, and this is a record by someone or by some group, or it comes through flows on the internet. You know, the radio. They don't very often say who's playing, who's the group. Electronic music, as opposed to rock music, is very often you don't mention people. No one mentions who's doing that. So there's lots of interesting people doing that kind of music that we don't know about because their names don't appear.
That was also the deal behind
Of
Telex.
course.
Yes, we didn't want to show ourselves. I mean, the main thing was the music and not being in front of the music. That was a constant battle with the record company because we didn't want to go on TV and things like that, but we had to. And now it's still a battle.
So without showing your faces, with the success, where did you put your egos?
Family life.
Which
probably.
ego, by the way? Which ego, by the way? That's the problem.
We're trying to find our ego. That's the main subject of our songs, isn't it?
The first single that's out of the album is On the Road Again. I remember that you already made something called En route pour de nouvelles aventures in French in the text.
Yes.
That's quite another version of it, and the single is On the Road Again. Can you just talk about the song? Why did you choose this? How did you treat it?
En route vers de nouvelles aventures was kind of after every catastrophe, the little man would go ahead and say, "Let's go again." On the Road Again is something like that for more private because it's just the beginning of after 22 years we're starting again and go on the road with our cars going to make shows everywhere.
Of course.
So it was a bit like un clin d'œil.
We know that you're quite educated people. For some, I will not drop names, quasi-intellectual people. Is it like just returning in the studio for Telex, recovering some childish, the child in you, just playing again?
That's what pop
It's
music
all
is about, I think, yes. And we always think that the first album was the best, and I think with this one we were fresh again. And it was like, yeah.
See you next week.
See you next week.
And thank you for listening to this first episode of the Telex podcast. See you next week indeed.